Hello, I'm Nan Simonson, and I am on week 7 of our PowerPoints. And I have PowerPoints, points of view, regarding health through the lens of lifestyle as medicine. And the College of Lifestyle Medicine has pillars of health that we've gone through. And I wrote my book, Aging Powerfully, following those precepts of pillars of health, because as a health coach now with a lifestyle medical practice in Riverside, California, under the guidance of Dr. Wayne Dysinger, their founder and a founding member of the College of Lifestyle Medicine, and with a history of 10 years in preventative medicine before that. I've seen, I know a thing because I've seen a thing. I've seen so much that nobody has to convince me that lifestyle modalities, when taken seriously and applied to our lives, can get us through decades of vibrant health, balance, and joy. As I say, my goal is in this book. Aging Powerfully is an acronym. Powerfully is an acronym. We've already gone through every letter through F last week for fasting. And now we're on U. And what is U? Unafraid. Living unafraid. What is that about? Okay. I will read some things. As a matter of fact, I'll be reading a number of things from my book rather than trying to come up with new words behind something that I obviously believe. First of all the liars in the world, sometimes the worst are our own fears. That was Rudyard Kipling. And one of the greatest discoveries a man makes, one of the great surprises, is to find he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do. That's Paramahansa Yogananda. And when I was 6 months short of turning 70, it dawned on me that maybe I could make a difference, because at 70, I looked at coming to that age, or being 70, and seeing it as the beginning of the end. How was I going to live these last pitiful years as an old lady? And then I realized that's just not the way it has to be. And that's certainly not the way I want my years to go. And so I looked at what I had learned from lifestyle medicine. By then, let's see, I wrote the book almost 3 years ago. It was 2020, in December of 2020. And we're only a few months away from, well, 5 months away from that in 23. But in any case, I looked at my life, looked at what I had learned, and realized we have such power using those pillars of lifestyle medicine. Then I also read other books like Radical Remission by Dr. Kelly Turner, highlighting over 1,000 cases that she had learned from, getting her PhD, writing as a thesis what she had learned from people who were told to go home, get their things in order. They were terminal, and it was, in this case, cancer, in what she was studying as an oncology. She began as an oncology PA, physician's assistant, and then took it from there. And she created a commonality, 9 things, sort of the way we're doing with 10 things in the pillars of lifestyle medicine, 9 things that these people who recovered had in common. And one of the most telling, I mean, there are several that we embrace, like going to a plant-based diet, or plant, if not plant exclusive, plant heavy, cleaning up the water. They began drinking more pure water, and a number of things, but one of them was to embrace where they were, embrace the fact. As a matter of fact, one person said, rather than fearing my cancer, I made friends with it. I made friends with having to go through my chemotherapy sessions, knowing that I was coming out of this on the other side powerfully. That's my word. I don't know if it was hers, but that was the point. So I learned, and I made a point of understanding and embracing the fact that getting to whatever age you are, but for me, it was 70, meant that I had the option to look ahead and embrace it as a new chapter. And many people break down our lives into thirds. And by the time we get into our 60s or 70s, we're in the last third of our life. And I thought, yeah, why not? That gives me another 10, 20, or 30 years, possibly. And when you read the Blue Zones, you realize it's very possibly. I live 15 minutes from the Loma Linda communities in California of Seventh-day Adventists who have proven that they can add 10 years to their life because of their lifestyle practices, and embrace that. And many of them reached. And by the way, the Blue Zones was about the communities of centenarians who are living strong, healthy lives. And there were 5 of them in the nation. The Loma Linda community of Seventh-day Adventists were one of them. I'm 15 minutes from that. And they live in, oh gosh, a county, Riverside County, near the city of San Bernardino, where we have record numbers of fast food restaurants and junk food stores, but they practice what they believe, and that is that their body is the temple. Catherine Turner believed that we had the ability through our mind and what we decided to shape our future. And so let me again, read part of what I've written about this subject. When I say I want to go on another 10, 20, or 30 years, do I know I'm going to do that? How would I know? Is it possible I won't? Of course it's possible. But by dismissing the fear of what these years are going to bring and replacing it with the anticipation, my outlook has turned around. I'm not afraid at all. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm going into a new adulthood. Think about it. If you can see yourself in another 10 or 20 or 30 years, that's in a way a lifetime, considering we're not newborns. We're people that have so much going for us in terms of knowledge, education, experience, adulthood, that even 10 years is an entire lifestyle. I mean, a lifetime. I thought I was completely without the skills that I would need in order to put down my thoughts into a book. And yet that was the thing that I decided to do, to celebrate these years and put into, again, words, not only my determination to make these great years, but also the mission that I wrote right here in the book. And that is that I dedicate my last 10, 20, or 30 years to spreading the words about lifestyle as medicine. I talk about in a number of my videos, I refer to Dr. Andrew Huberman, who runs the Huberman Lab at Stanford University. He's a tenured professor there. And he has a podcast that's separate from his teaching at Stanford, but he's a neurobiologist and ophthalmologist. Why the combination? Because our eyes are part of our brain. So if you're going to study neurology, if you're going to study the brain, you're going to study the eyes. He is just brilliant. And no, he doesn't ascribe to a number of the things I do, such as a whole food plant-based diet, but he makes a study of our bodies and our minds and the control we have over them. And he's shown repeatedly that attitude follows action. He stresses that when we take action steps toward whatever we seek to do, enthusiasm and determination will follow. So many times people will wait to be motivated enough to move. It doesn't work that way. He says again and again, action preempts motivation. And that's what we're talking about here. I had to say to myself, I have no idea if I know how to put words together into a book that anyone would care to read. And that was never the point. I simply had to say, you've got this, Nan, and go for it. And that was, again, almost 3 years ago. And I have found that through the enthusiasm and excitement about these coming years and what they hold and the power I have to form them in any way I want, I'm like a kid in a candy store. By putting everything out that I realize, by putting, everything out on the table, again, when I wrote my book, I'm no longer emotionally constrained by the secrets that I wrote in my book. Part of it was a memoir of something nobody knew about, my eating disorder. My best friends had no idea, and there it was, put into a book and laid out there bare. By expressing my passion and heartfelt belief in the path to health that has been shown for decades to prevent and reverse the most common and chronic illnesses, and which has affected my life in remarkable ways. As a matter of fact, I attribute my being able to walk away from an eating disorder by adopting, in my case, a whole food, plant exclusive diet that balanced my system, balanced my blood sugar, and balanced my neurotransmitters. You have to listen to my talk on nutrition to understand what I mean by that, but it's absolutely scientifically so. There are no guarantees, and by choosing to begin this journey of moving forward unafraid, we're putting out there and reframing the possibility that our life can be rewritten in any way we want to. I was 59 when my husband of 40 years, whom I met at 18, married at 19, passed away of esophageal cancer. I had no idea who I was back then. What did I do? Did I crawl up into a ball? No. I guess I had some resources even back then to trust that if I moved forward one way or another, I would find a way. And I did move forward. First of all, I went to India because my son lived there and they were having their first baby, my first grandchild. I stayed with them 2 months. But then when I was supposed to go back home and resume my life as a single person, I went on for another 4 months traveling the world, Istanbul and Turkey, and then Morocco, 3 months or 3 weeks in Morocco, and then Israel and Jordan and Egypt and all over Asia and Singapore and China and Malaysia and just on and on. In all, after my husband passed, I visited and I just hopped on different tours, didn't do it all by myself, but I was the single person on a tour. I always wanted my own room. I always was independent enough not to need to have anybody hold my hand. And that was my rite of passage through fear to re-examination and then to kind of blossoming into the person I was going to be all by myself. Who was I? I was going to figure that out. And that's exactly what I did. 15 countries, 15 months. And then I knew who and what I was. I got through some pretty hairy stuff and did it with a bloom. Okay. In the article, Living Magazine, or in the article for Living Magazine, Mr. Heeks, who is a therapist, shared tips from his book, a book about, actually, he wasn't a therapist, but it doesn't matter. He wrote a book, Not Fade Away, Staying Happy When You're Over 64 Years Old. And he outlined 7 ways to beat fear of aging. And I want to cover those with you because he makes excellent points. Number 1, maintain a positive outlook. The pressures of the world swirling around us may leave us feeling overwhelmed and powerless. We have to continually choose to believe in the positives about ourselves, other people, and the world in general. Keep noticing your thoughts and feelings and keep choosing positive ones. I call that reframing, and it's a term that I use a lot when I speak with clients, patients, and myself. How can I reframe what I'm thinking of this situation to see it in a different light. Because if you see it and you feel it and your thoughts follow, your emotions follow, and your body responds to that. I had a conversation with a number of people that we gather with a support group in the lifestyle medical group. And our conversations led to something I'm going to talk about next week, and that's the vagus nerve and what that has to do with our general health. And what I've just said has everything to do with the vagus nerve. So stay tuned. As he said, see everything around us in a positive light. Keep noticing your thoughts and feelings. Keep choosing positive ones, like gratitude and appreciation for all the good things about yourself and life. Number 2, embrace your fears. Slowing down from the race of our younger years may create a space where habitual fears come up more strongly. If you want to grow old happily, my advice is to face these fears of aging sooner than later. That doesn't mean going into battle with them. Simply invite them to tea and start a dialogue. He explained, I've found that my fears were just trying to protect me, and they had some useful advice when I gave them a hearing. Number 3, create cheerful daily habits. Habits are a great way to ensure that you keep making the positive choices you need for healthy living. Some examples include continually taking time in your day to express gratitude for the good things in your life. It keeps you focused on what's good and what is right and what is blessed in our lives. Try to bring humor into your daily life by enjoying some comedy on TV or radio or watching a video. For me, on Facebook and Instagram, I love the animal things, the cute animal things. Get outdoors into nature. It'll lift your spirits, reduce stress, and improve your health. Do this on a daily basis. Take a brisk walk, ride a bike, or engage in some outdoor activity every day. There are, Ruth Heydrich is, I believe Ruth is now in 89. She's run something like 60 marathons, and she did them after she had a radical mastectomy. Back in her 40s, she discovered running, and she's still running today in her 80s. She was a triathlete as well. Well, she said, did I want to run every time I went out? I laced up, put on my running shorts, laced up my shoes, and took off. Did I want to? She said, no. But she said, I never ran and wasn't grateful that I had done it. And I remember that, and I think that all the time. When it's time to get up, because here's a bit of advice about exercise, just be ready for it in the morning. First thing in the morning, have your shoes out, your shorts out, you're running, whatever, or walking or bicycling. I've kind of messed up one of my knees and I can't run like I did. I can't even walk all that well right now, but you know what I can do? I can ride like the wind. And so every morning after a sauna, I get on my bike and I take off. And this morning it was kind of cloudy. Our days have been 102 and 3 here in Southern California, but it was cloudy and it was already, I don't know if it was 80 yet, but it was going to reach like 95, 96, but it was cloudy and it felt marvelous. If I didn't have everything ready to go and that in my mindset, that's on the calendar, nothing else supersedes it, these things don't happen. So make a date with nature, make a date with movement. Those habits are the things that set us up to, well, first of all, not feel guilty, not feel critical of ourselves, and to get the dopamine and the oxytocin that we get from doing things that are good for us. Number 4, treat problems as adventures. Although it's easy to get downcast and feel like a victim when problems in life or health occur, choose instead to believe that they are there as a gift, an upside to most problems if you can find it. Treat these difficulties the same way you would prepare for an adventure holiday. gather maps or other information, look for a good guide, and treat the new learning you need as an interesting challenge. Look out for any new openings that may arise. Number 5, explore elderhood. Somebody may be on here that's listening to this that is 30 or 40 or 50 and think, boy, this doesn't apply to me at all. I have somebody dear in my life who won't even let me use the word, she's almost 45, who won't even let me use the word aging because she sees that as a negative. We're living and we're aging as we live. It's just a matter of fact. It doesn't matter if we're 40s or 50s or 60s. Every one of those ages is a new opportunity to learn to live that age with grace, appreciation, and enthusiasm. I know some people consider in the 40s they're over the hill, and that angst even begins at that age. Well, there's nobody that will argue the fact that when you're 70, you're old. People just think that. But we don't have to live that. As a matter of fact, again, we can see that as a beginning of a whole new chapter, another third of our life. Okay. So I'll go back to number 5, explore elderhood. With few guidelines about growing old positively, we have to figure this out for ourselves. He writes, I'm using the term elderhood to invite you to connect to the mature wisdom in yourself and in our ancestors. In old tribal cultures, such as the Celts and the Native Americans, elders played a vital role in guiding the tribe to dream dreams, uphold values, mentor the young, speak truths as they saw them. We live in a very different kind of society now, but the role of the elders is something we can learn from and update. And when you're together with your friends, you're a powerhouse of knowledge and accumulated years. Number 6, be more conscious of your values. With modern life so hectic and distracting, becoming more aware of your values and choosing to live by them more deliberately can be a real service to your well-being. It's also a gift to those around you, including the younger generation. Values can be everyday ones like honesty, integrity, and care for others, as well as choosing to respond positively to the apparently hopeless state of the world at any given time. And then finally, number 7, cultivate your people skills. Many research studies show that our ability to express, hear, and work with feelings are far more beneficial to our personal and work life than intellect or brain power. Dan Buettner, as he relates to the blue zone inhabitants of those 5 areas of the world, says that there isn't a grouch among them. Now, of course, you know that's a broad swath. How could he say that? But he said, by and large, our centenarians are of good humor. They look forward to the days. They're not considering themselves old. They have purpose and they go for it. They see life as an adventure. Honing your interpersonal skills is a great step, even for retirees. Throughout my life, feeling the fear and doing it anyway has been a mantra that served me well. And I recommend it to anybody who is facing either illnesses that seem to be threatening our health and the fear that can go along with that. I know what that's like. To losing friends. As we get older, more people become ill and more people start becoming incapable of doing things they used to do. Keep in mind that we do have the power of living on purpose and aging powerfully by making choices that allow our bodies to stay strong. Hippocrates said that our bodies will heal themselves if given half a chance. I don't think he said half a chance, but if given what they need. And I'll remind you one more time, we're talking about food as close to nature as possible, the things that feed us at a cellular level well, not processed foods, not sugar, not alcohol, but real food. Move. We must move, and we must move on a daily basis to get our heart pumping, to get our cells working, to get our muscles moving around, that lymphatic fluid. We need to have people in our lives. And we're going to talk about that next week, because the subject will be love and laughter and the people in our lives. And the love doesn't have to be the kind of love that describes a person or family member in our life. It can be something that, well, for example, I spoke about today with our group earlier, and that is moments in time where we make a connection with people and exchange good feelings and trust and kind words. This is a scientist of emotions, a PhD at one of our top universities, who has made a study of these minute moments in time that we call community in lifestyle medicine, that we can all grow like flowers in a garden. We have that much control. And then finally, one of the other important precepts of health is not only sleep, but also stress management. And we've talked about those. We'll talk more about them. But what we're talking about now has everything to do with stress management. It has everything to do with how your body responds to what's going on in your mind that either says fight and flight, or rest, digest, take ease, enjoy, relax. That's where we want to be. That's called the parasympathetic nervous system. We don't want the sympathetic. We want the rest and digest. So, okay. I hope you got something from this. I'm going to now return to the group. If you'd like to be part of our group, if you're watching this on YouTube, I posted a day or two later. Write me at Aging Powerfully with Nan, agingpowerfullywithnan@gmail.com, and I'll send you our invitation, so that link, so that you can see this part, but also you can do what I'm about to do now, which is to involve the group in a conversation about what we've spoken about, their experience, as well as anything else that they decide to discuss. Hope you're having a great day. I know I am. Thank you for joining me, and go forward fearing nothing. Bye-bye.